So let me tell you all about the maximalism, which I invented personally back in the time nobody ruled the earth.
Back in the time when nobody ruled the earth. As if I was a dinosaur. As if I was a dinosaur.
I want to give you, I think some of you like to hear there's a maximalism, and you want to take it to the max. And you want some rules for making the maximalism. And so this is a manifesto of the maximalism, and we're going to give you, 5 top rules of the maximalism. Okay, well, how many rules should there be? It shouldn't be in a list instead of a list of code. It should be canon. It should be Martin Luther. He's got the 80-something theses, and we're maximalists. We should have 1,422 theses of what's required for the maximalist art. So first of all, put the maximum number of theses in your manifesto of the maximalist art. How is the maximalist art related to the minimalism? Well, there's this issue of the scale. And this is an important thing, because there has to be a contrast of a scale. So with the millennial minimalism, why is it so bad? Why is it so boring? Why is it so dumb? Why do you want to punch them every moment of the...
Crucially, I forgot to get around to the point. 1960s minimalism was gigantic in scale. For instance, certain minimalist composers called for us to spend centuries sustaining a single chord. See the film 2001 and its monoliths.
Boring times. Oh boy, and they're so boring, and you want to make them less boring. I don't know. You got to tell them, be less boring, or I'll cry. You have to cry more. You got to cry all the time if you want people to care about your feelings. You cry, you walk down the street and you're crying, and you're having your coffee and you're crying, and you're on your Zoom meetings and you're crying. I mean, if you're not crying on the Zoom, what are you? You're not doing humanity a favor. You gotta cry when you're on Zoom. Every time. Are you in the same room as your boss? You gotta be crying. And then we live in a more humane society. You gotta cry. And if your eyes get dry, you gotta pour water on your face. You gotta walk down the street and you get these colorful water bottles, right? You go to the store and you get the most colorful water bottles, and if they're too plain, you paint them, and then you drink your water and you pour it on your face to make sure you always gotta cry. You always gotta cry all the time. Continuous crying. This is a maximalist precept. And when you get done with your colorful water bottles, you staple them to your shirt. So you're covered in color. Covered in colorful water bottles all the time. When you're crying and you're covered in colorful water. Okay? So, rule 1.3 is the automatic drawing. And there's 2 kinds of automatic drawing. You gotta do them both at once. One is the automatic drawing and the Freud. So back in the 50s time, they had an old idea they liked called the Freud and the unconscious. And they had a new idea we like called the artificial intelligence. And the automatic drawing is both, guys. It's so good. You win, because it's both. So you mark genuinely at random, and then you deep dream, or you shallow dream, because it's one step in this game of Conway's game of chess, rainforest game, Conway's rainforest chess, and you look at the mark you made, and then you see, what does it remind you of? Does it remind you of a shadow of a horse? Are you a shadowless horse and you can't get across to you? So it reminds you of a horse.
At the beginning of art,
cave paintings
were conducted in this way. They would manipulate a source of light, a torch, and use it to cast a shadow with a rock, and manipulate the shadow until it resembled an animal, and then trace over the animal it resembled. This is similar to the deep dream of 10 years ago, and in fact to diffusion models today, a plot symmetry in the entire history of human art, which is all.
And then you start drawing the horse it reminds you of, and it's a better horse than you could draw, hopefully. But then you complete that and you make a good horse. Well, no, that's boring. You don't make a good horse. You do the process continuously, because you got to go back in the 2012 times. There was a deep dream, but then it would go too far and it would hallucinate a horse in a horse, and you have a horse and the eyes of the horse as another horse, and it's disgusting. And that's the maximalism art. And it makes the
Go too far and ruin it, and then go past the point where you've ruined it, and go past the point where you've ruined that, until on some dimension it's the ruinedest, and thus psychoperceptionally distinct.
characteristic then goes slow. I don't know. But this is what the same process is the deep dream. I was doing my manual machine learning. I didn't know what to call my art. Sometimes I would call it maximalist as a self-effacing. But because minimalism sucks, what would suck even more is the maximalism. Okay, alright, so this is a rule of maximalist art. Is the automatic drawing, is the manual machine learning, and you gotta get the Freudian subconscious, and you gotta get the Hegelian dialectic, and you gotta get the genetic algorithms, and you gotta empathize with yourself as a neural network to produce a second order of neural network, and you gotta get your body involved with the Skinner, emergent system of self-organizing behavior. So you gotta get the Skinner body involved, where you're aconsciously doing, because you don't have a mind. The mind your behaviors are self-organizing unbeknownst to you, because you are a mimic of yourself. And you gotta get all in there, because it's maximalism is the maximum things. And then there's the fractals. This is a rule of the maximalist art, is you start to make a fractal and then you gotta ruin it. So you gotta take a fractal and you gotta hit it with a different fractal, and you break both fractals, and when you see the fractal emergences, you sabotage. Sabotage is a very important rule of maximalist art, because you're playing a game of chess against yourself, where one, you're trying to harmonize the drawing so your drawing doesn't embarrass your mom. But then the other player is also you, is trying to embarrass your mom. Because isn't this how your life is? Aren't you playing a game against yourself, where player one is you, and player two is you, and you're trying to embarrass, player one wants to not embarrass your mom, and player two wants to embarrass your mom, and you're playing a game against each other, and that game is you. Right? Okay, the colors. You might see in the maximalism, there's a lot of colors. There's all the colors, the Technicolor Dream Coat, 7 colors of the rainbow, hyperchromaticism, diatonic scale. But then there's more. There's some extra colors that don't fit and look bad, and they're not.
So obviously the main ideological agenda here is really imperfectionism. So this is a mini manifesto of imperfectionism inside the mega mini manifesto of, what was it, maximalism? Oh yeah, before, maximalism needs to be tiny and made with cheap materials, very dense and very small, right? That was the idea. But the imperfectionism is the idea that the very idea of competence is ableist, right? So in the name of justice for me, as a person with severe executive functioning disorder, you need to make the maximum number of mistakes. You need to leave all the mistakes, and you have to say, oh, my mistakes are clever and my mistakes are beautiful, and essentially my audience does not deserve a smooth experience, because you don't. There's too much smoothness, and you deserve to hear an out-of-tune note and look at a broken line. You do. You deserve some dirt on your shoe. It'll make you a better person. So that's imperfectionism, which is the main macro manifesto of the Maximalist Manifesto. God bless you.
Real colors. They're just a different tone because it's mixed media. So like, get some green oyster paint and put it on your fancy markers. And you have to buy your supplies at the office supply store. Obviously make your Maximalist manifestos in iMovie. Make all your YouTube videos in the iMovie. And it has to be too small. Okay, here's another thing about the Maximalist art. You can't hang it on a wall to look at. You have to sit on the table. And here's what you do. To make it so the Maximalist art doesn't hang on the wall, so it can't be exploited by a capital. Recycling the detritus of capitalism with the trash art.
I forgot to say doodling to infinity. Doodling to infinity. And I don't know. Let's say I did a bit about it, okay? Okay, doodling to infinity. To infinity.